Oh, for
Because,
sure.
for me, I'm a little bit different than you, where you
Mm-hmm.
said that you had ever since you were young a lot of girlfriends, a lot of
Right.
just good relationships with women or girls. For me, I
Mm-hmm.
did grow up with a group of girl cousins too,
Mm-hmm.
but I also grew up being around my brothers a lot. Um,
Yeah.
and maybe it's just because of my difference of personality, but when I was around the girls, when I was around my mom, I always felt so trapped. I always felt like
Mm-hmm.
I had so many expectations, or I had to act a certain way, or I had to worry about things that I necessarily didn't really care about, but I
Yeah.
just did it because it was part of the group. I was trying to conform when
Mm-hmm.
I was younger. And for me,
Yeah.
I actually, as I grew up, I realized just being around a lot of girls was really hard for me. I
Mm-hmm.
honestly grew up feeling like being around a lot of girls was too dramatic, and it was
Mm-hmm.
just not my style and my vibe. And so I grew up
Yeah.
really just not really wanting to hang out with girls that much. And so
Mm-hmm.
I always had probably one or two girlfriends, but it was always a lot of guy friends. But I wasn't really close to them either.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I just had this stigma for a long time when I was younger
Mm-hmm.
that being around a lot of girls was just too much for me.
Yeah, for
But
sure.
definitely, it has definitely changed now. But I think that
Mm-hmm.
was that just because I was how I grew up, just a lot of negative feedback from growing up. As my mom, she I love her. We have a great relationship now, but I think it's all Hmong parents. Sometimes they just compare you to a lot of people. They compare you
Oh,
to
yeah.
a person. They don't really know how to hold your feelings or take care of your feelings. But and I'm not
Mm-hmm.
saying all Hmong parents, but just majority. Not
Majority,
all,
for
not all,
sure.
but they just don't know how to praise you, but they just know how to kind of put you down sometimes. Because I
Yeah.
I was put down a lot for my how I looked. And so
Mm-hmm.
I carried that insecurity with me for a long, long time, and
For
it made me
sure.
have a type of view on Hmong women, just
Mm-hmm.
because of what I saw and what I experienced. So for a long time, it was really hard for me to see Hmong women as a positive thing. And I felt like
Oh,
even
right.
holding that identity was very at a disadvantage for me for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
But what? That's
I
why
could,
I'm curious.
yeah.
Oh, go ahead. Go ahead.
Oh, no, I said I was just going to kind of comment. Like, I could definitely see, not everybody's like me where they grow up getting along with other girls. Cause I grew up as such a girly girl, and I think that's another factor that helped me get along with so many people, so many girls at least so easily versus like you, other people can kind of relate to you where they just felt like girl, like they had that stigma. It's too dramatic and too much.
Mm-hmm.
But when you bring that aspect of your mom and you know, Hmong women having to feel compared to each other. And when I think about it, it's not like your parents are like, oh, how come you're not like your boy cousin like this? They're always comparing you to another woman. So it's really unfair that things happen the way they happen. But I just really think that it's just the way that you handle yourself and you put yourself out there and kind of understand that, you don't have to listen to what your parents are comparing yourself to and even yourself. Like you don't even have to compare yourself to anybody. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
Yeah, great. No, that I think it sounds like having a really awesome support system is something that helped you really thrive and be resilient. That the
Mm-hmm.
people that you're surrounded with, the people that loves you, really wants the best for you. And I hear you said that when you were in college, you knew that you were going to be a nurse. Is that right? Is that what you felt?
Yes.
You
Yep.
already knew. And so I
Mm-hmm.
kind of just want to go into also, how did you know, or how did you feel or know that you wanted to be a nurse? Because sometimes
Right.
when people go into college, we don't know what we want to do. And that's where we kind of get lost, right?
Oh,
We
for
don't
sure.
we have no idea. But how did you know? And um and I guess let's go with that first before I ask
Mm-hmm.
another question.
Yeah, no, that's fine. Well, honestly, I just remember being in elementary and my older sister telling me like, what do you want to do for your life, and she was giving me all these options and I think she described nursing as helping people when they're sick, and that's how I just remembered it as a little kid. And I'm like, oh, I want to do that. And so throughout my whole life, I geared myself to becoming a nurse. I did everything around nursing. I took CNA classes when I was in high school. I made sure I liked science, and so I really made my life gear around becoming a nurse. And so,
Did you like science though? You said you
I
made sure.
mean, science was a different story, girl. I mean, I had to make sure I liked it so I can pass. And so, yeah, I guess for me, nursing has been something that has always been in my life where it wasn't forced. So I feel like my parents were never the ones to be like, you have to be a doctor, you have to be a nurse, like make sure you're going to school to do that. And I think it was just a treat for them to hear that, oh, I want to be a nurse. There's always that thing where parents are like, people always think that their Hmong parents or Asian parents always force them to become that. But for me, it wasn't that situation. It was definitely something that I didn't think much about. And then once it started becoming like closer to being an adult, I was like, wow, I'm glad I picked this path, and it happened to be what I wanted to do. So yeah, I don't know. There's so many things with this career that's awesome, and that I was really fortunate to have known to want to be a nurse throughout the whole time of me becoming one. So
Yeah,
yeah,
that's so cool. You've wanted to be a nurse ever since you were little, and you've done everything that you can to really focus your life on becoming a nurse, right?
yeah, pretty much is what I kind of did. And I guess now it's kind of my like, I feel like it's kind of my purpose now to help other people, just because that's something I love to do throughout my whole college career. And even now being a nurse, I'm super busy right now, so it's a little bit harder to reach out to people and people to reach out to me because I haven't been posting much about it. And so yeah, I feel like my purpose now is kind of just to help other Hmong women strive in this career, because it's something that you don't really see. I
Mhm.
actually came from a nursing program where I was the only minority in there. I mean, there was another person, but she was adopted, and it was different. I'm not trying to compare, but it's just kind of like, it's different when you have parents who are immigrants where you have to prove yourself. And
Mhm.
so I guess, just talking about that, life is just so busy. So any type of negativity, I was like, I don't have time for that right now. So
Mhm. And
mhm.
it sounds to me too that sometimes when sometimes, because we were talking about how sometimes why do other women, or if we talk specifically just in our community, like why do other Hmong sisters bash in another Hmong sister, we can kind of say that sometimes it's because of the insecurity that they have, or the lack of direction or lack of purpose that they may be feeling,
Mhm.
right, or lack of guidance.
For sure.
And how I just lost my train of thought. I was just like, what am I
That's me
saying?
all the time. It's okay.
uh, um but oh gosh, what was I saying? Oh man,
Lack of direction and all that.
what did you say? Because you said something that sprouted that comment. You said
Maybe I don't know at this point, but I guess to kind of comment towards that, I feel like, for people in my life who kind of saw me more of something like, oh, I'm always successful, I never fail in life. Just talking about me already knowing that I wanted to be a nurse since I was young, and then succeeding that goal, and then just kind of loving myself, having an awesome boyfriend in my life. I think not everybody's direction is like mine. Everybody's is different. And I think it's to the point where I'm just kind of like, I see you as a sister. You can use me as a resource, because, a lot of Hmong girls I've noticed want to become nurses too.
Mhm.
And that's to the point where I'm just like, use me as a resource. Don't use me as something as you have to compare yourself to, or a competition, or someone you feel like I'm just rubbing myself off on social media as a certain way. So I mean, definitely everybody's path is different, like what you said. And mine just happened to be not easy, for sure. It's what people don't really understand, but I think they just need to realize to bring out the positive in what they see as a negative.
Mm.
Hmm.
Yep, that's definitely true. And
Yeah.
I think I remember actually what I was trying to say just as you were talking, because sometimes if you know, you as a woman or among women or however you identify yourself, um that sometimes it's, you said that your purpose in life now, you feel like you have a purpose to help people, and
Mhm.
sometimes people can't even think about helping others in creating that sisterhood, or even thinking about supporting another sister when they feel insecure and when they feel a lack of guidance for themselves. And
Right.
so, you know, what do you, let's talk like what do we think is the root of them starting to feel that way?